From an ancient ring to a barrel filled with cash left buried by Pablo Escobar, here are 10 of the most incredible forest finds that were worth a fortune. Number 10. Bronze Age treasure. Earlier this year, in a forest in western Sweden near the town of Alingsås, about 30 miles 48 kilometers northeast of Gothenburg, a man was doing a survey for an orienteering club he was in. It was during this survey that he discovered something amazing completely by accident. He stumbled upon an ancient treasure hoard of Bronze Age artifacts estimated to be at least 2,500 years old. According to the report from the BBC, this guy found at least 50 items, including necklaces and bracelets. His name is Thomas Carlson, and he's a cartographer. He discovered the treasure simply piled together on the floor of the woods next to a bunch of rocks. And according to archaeologists, this was actually pretty standard behavior for ancient tribes. They used to leave offerings in rivers and wetlands, burying precious goods in the soil as gifts to whatever gods they worshipped. It's likely that animals and other natural elements disturbed the earth over time, revealing the hidden artifacts. The cartographer first spotted a metallic glint out of the corner of his eye while working on a map. At first, he thought his eyes just saw some junk sparkling in the bush, but then he realized it was way more than just trash. It was treasure, and it was in surprisingly good condition. It likely belonged to a woman or a woman of a higher status. He immediately sat down, made himself a coffee in the middle of the forest, and emailed a local archaeologist to come and check things out. It turned out the treasure hoard was worth a fortune. Not today, of course, but it would have been worth its weight in gold back in 750 BC. Number 9. Ancient ring. In 2012, in England's Sherwood Forest, a medieval ring was discovered. It was found at Kirton, near what little is left of the legendary forest in Nottinghamshire County, the old stomping grounds of the mythical Robin Hood. The ring dates back to the 15th century and is made of pure sapphire. It has a gold mount engraved with figures depicting the infant of Christ and Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. According to archaeologist Emily Gillett, the ring would have been worn by someone of very high status, such as a visiting bishop. Only someone of extreme wealth could have owned such a precious item, while the peasants of the day would have dreamed of it at night. Kind of like how most of us dream about one day driving a Ferrari or living in a mansion. As for how the ring was discovered, it was thanks to an amateur treasure hunter named Mark Thompson, who had been wandering around with his metal detector for just 20 minutes when he made the amazing find. Mark makes an honest living by spray painting forklift trucks. He said, "I was really excited when I saw that it was gold, but I didn't realize at that point just how significant it might be." He also added, "It's the find of a lifetime. I never expected to unearth anything like it. I'm still in shock when I think about it. It was such an exhilarating moment." Now, the antique ring is expected to sell for over $25,000. Mark will get to keep half the money, while the other half will be split with the landowner, as those are the rules of found treasure. Number 8. Abandoned fighter planes. All throughout the ex-Soviet Union, there are abandoned hangars filled with forgotten aircrafts. There are also lost bases with thousands of tanks, jets, and helicopters that are simply rusting away in the middle of the forest. And all this military equipment used to be worth an absolute fortune. For example, near the forgotten Sakhalin Air Base, which today is located literally in the middle of nowhere in the woods, there are MiG-23 fighter jets rotting away to nothing. These amazing war machines used to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to manufacture, and after the war, they were simply thrown away like toys after Christmas morning. These machines have been abandoned for the past 45 years since 1975. Of course, many of them were stripped of their most valuable parts, like their propellers and engines. But still, there's a small fortune in scrap metal slowly turning to rust in the woods of Russia. Number 7. Pablo Escobar's stash. A farmer in Colombia named Jose Mariana Cartolos stumbled upon a rather bizarre discovery after getting a grant from the Colombian government to develop a new palm oil plantation. It was while the farmer was digging in the soil that he discovered a container filled to the brim with cold, hard cash. According to the local reports, there was $600 million in cash inside of what was basically a barrel. And apparently, it had belonged to Pablo Escobar before he died. The notorious Colombian drug lord had amassed a fortune of around $30 billion before being killed and had decided to bury some of it, apparently in some random locations throughout the country. Unfortunately for the farmer, he was caught finding the treasure, and so it was taken by Colombian officials. He probably didn't get to keep a single dollar of it. The money will most likely go to fund social and economic programs. Colombian officials think the discovery will encourage others to search for more of Escobar's billions. Maybe Jose will get lucky and find a second barrel buried somewhere else in the dirt as he continues to grow his plantation. If I found $600 million in cash, I might just disappear. What would you do if you found a barrel of money? Let me know in the comment section down below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. Jose Gaspar's treasure. There's no evidence that Jose Gaspar ever actually lived. Nothing about him appeared before the 1900s, and yet he was supposedly born in 1756. He then went on to serve in the Spanish Navy, and he became a counselor to King Charles III. He eventually turned into a pirate, made his base on the coast of Florida, and then raided the Spanish as frequently as he possibly could. He was a buccaneer on the Gulf Coast based in Tampa, and he apparently left behind a treasure somewhere along the Peace River. But nobody's ever actually found the treasure. But there are some who believe it's still out there somewhere in the Florida forest, just waiting to be discovered. In fact, there are crews of people who spend their weekends with machetes and metal detectors patrolling various small islands and searching for the supposed treasure of Jose Gaspar. And it's been going on for over 115 years. Of course, there have been other treasures that are even older than his that have been found, so there's still hope. Even though historians say he was fake, people still believe there's a treasure chest buried in the woods, filled with either pirate gold or Spanish gold, or even Civil War gold. It doesn't matter what kind of gold, so long as it's there. But as of yet, no one has found anything. The treasure hunt continues. Number 5. A forgotten safe. A farmer discovered a mysterious safe at the edge of a field on his property near the forest. He was surprised because he knew the safe wasn't there before. And as if that weren't mysterious enough on its own, farmer Kirk Mathis claims that there was a note left with it, stating that whoever opened the safe could keep whatever they found inside. This happened in Orleans County, New York. The farmer had actually been out of town when the safe showed up in his field. The safe itself is pretty old, possibly antique. It weighs about 600 pounds, 272 kilograms, and can only be lifted by heavy equipment. As for what hides inside of it, we still don't know. Kirk Mathis told ABC News that he refuses to open it because he thinks the contents should remain a mystery. It almost makes you wonder if the farmer didn't put it on his own property to get some weird attention drawn to him. But even more than that, it really makes you wonder what kind of valuable treasure is in the safe and why someone left it on his property. What do you think the mysterious old safe has inside of it? And who do you think put it on Kirk Mathis's land? Let me know in the comments down below. Number 4. 200 abandoned tanks. In Russia, for whatever reason, somebody left a whole lot of money sitting in a forest in the middle of the country. Some people wandering through the woods came across 200 abandoned tanks unguarded, no soldiers nearby, and completely unlocked. Footage showed up online of villagers near the city of Yekaterinburg clambering over the vehicles, playing with the ammunition belts, and messing with all the controls. This is some very expensive machinery to leave alone and unlocked in the middle of nowhere. The only things missing were the live rounds and the keys to actually get the tanks started, which is probably a good thing. From what the locals could gather, the tanks were sitting in the forest covered in snow for at least 4 months. The Russian army was embarrassed after their tanks were discovered, and they never did admit what exactly they were doing just sitting in the woods. A military spokesman said that the tanks were actually being guarded by special patrols and would be dispatched to a military base. An investigation has been opened by military prosecutors. Scared of even more bad publicity, the army started relocating the tanks. The army's just lucky nobody figured out how to hotwire a tank and drive off with all that valuable military equipment. What is Russia up to? Number 3. The Lost City of Gold. All throughout Latin America, explorers have been trying to find the Lost City of Gold, also called the White City, for centuries. Supposedly there's a city filled with gold lost somewhere deep in the Amazon rainforest. But just recently, new images have shown what could be a hidden city lost underneath the Honduran rainforest, far to the north of where the legends say the Lost City of Gold is. This place could be the buried capital of an unknown civilization. Archaeologists discovered the potential ruins by using special planes that send laser pulses at the ground while they fly over the forest to map its topography. Images revealed an area rich with features that suggest a megalithic city beyond anything previously discovered in Honduras. These features include buildings, agricultural land, canals, and roads. As for how valuable the discovery is, if it's filled with gold, it'll make a small group of explorers very rich. But is it real? People have been looking for the city ever since the 1500s and have never found it. And now, even though archaeologists have now revealed where it could be, it's in such a dangerous location that sending an archaeological team into the area is almost impossible. For hundreds of years, people have died going into the Amazon in search of it, never to come back out. Could this really be it? Number 2. Too much treasure. Back in 2014, Derek McGlennon stumbled upon something amazing. It was a Viking treasure hoard. He was an amateur treasure hunter using a metal detector to just look around for stuff. Instead of boring old crap, he discovered over 100 items of serious worth on some church woodland in Scotland. It was the largest Viking hoard that was ever found in all of history. And all these years after the discovery, the Church of Scotland is trying to sue the guy for over $2 million. At the time Derek discovered the treasure, he claimed he would share the proceeds. He hasn't yet. The National Museum of Scotland paid him around $2 million for the treasure he found, which consisted of dozens of gold artifacts, rings, pins, and bracelets. The great thing about finding things in Scotland is that there's a finder's keeper's rule. Whoever finds the treasure gets to keep the payment. This is in stark contrast to other places in the UK where the cash must be split with whomever owns the land. It's doubtful the church will win their suit, but hey, at least they're trying. Do you think Derek will share his treasures? Should he? Number 1. Lost race car. A nature photographer came across a legendary old race car in the middle of the forest. A race car that was once worth a whole lot of money. The car was once a shiny Pontiac Firebird that raced before 1995. Nobody's exactly sure how the car came to be rotting in the middle of the forest, but it was a real shame for such a valuable piece of equipment to go to waste. Amazingly, the photographer actually managed to find out who raced the car at the track. The driver's name was Bill Balea, and he was from New Brunswick, Canada. He used to race the car at the Cedar Mills International Speedway. The photographer managed to get a hold of the man's daughters, living about halfway across the country. They said the car was one of their father's favorites. They also had no idea how it became lost in the forest or who put it there. There are no plans to restore the car or anything like that despite its worth, and the vehicle will probably stay in the remote Canadian woods until the end of time. Thanks for watching. What's the most valuable thing you've ever found in the forest? Let me know in the comment section down below, and be sure to hit subscribe and come back soon for another awesome video right here on American Eye.